So I want to talk today first about what PR can do for your brand. So PR can bring you national exposure, can ring up the online register, like you saw from some of my placements in movies and the press, attract new store buyers, and create credibility for your company. So having the national exposure in magazines or in a movie is something that you can use to lure and attract buyers. You know, they want to know, kind of swings down to the credibility factor, that you're going to be there tomorrow, you know, because they work with a lot of designers and new companies that are the here today, gone tomorrow people. And if they're going to, you know, decide to make shelf space for you and put you in their store, they want to know that when they go to place a reorder because your product, you know, flew out the door, that you're going to be there. And so having national exposure and the press and having, you know, celebrities and just having general, you know, recognition by the world other than your mom, you know, really makes people feel comfortable, you know, whipping out their credit card and their checkbook and placing an order with you. And it really, you know, it's not that buyers won't buy from you, but it's just going to give them that extra little push to say, okay, I've seen her here, I've seen her there, you know, she's going to give me this tear sheet or one sheet and I'm going to be able to put it by the register, and that's going to attract people because let's face it, you know, we all live here, all of us here live in LA for the most part. And you know, we see all these beautiful people all over the place all the time, and you see, you know, the billboards and all these big movie stars, and there's premieres and all kinds of things that go on, you know, in New York and Los Angeles. And those people, they're attracting people like magnets, you know, and the whole point of part of what I want to talk about today is how can you make that the magnet point towards you. So here's my bag that was in, that I made for Julia Roberts for Ocean's 11 in InStyle. And that brought me, like I said, the order from Nordstrom's and also probably about 50 other boutiques ordered. You know, and Bergdorf's has its cachet because of its name, but you have to remember too, it's one store, just like Bendel's is one store, but the brand name of those stores carries the weight of Bloomingdale's. You know, I don't care if you're in 300 Bloomingdale's stores, I'd rather be sometimes in Bergdorf's because of the weight that name can say when you can say to another buyer, well, we're in Bergdorf's, you know, or we're in Fred Segal, we're in Kitson, we're in Henry Bendel's. You know, depending on what your product line is, those things can really hold a lot of weight. So how do you know what the media is looking for and how do you know what to pitch them? So this is a little screenshot of Condé Nast's editorial calendar. And what I circled here, I'll read it to you because you can't see it. It just says editorial calendar, Lucky Magazine. And you can pick all the different magazines on the back end of their website. And what this will do is give you a little bit of insight into what they're looking to do for each issue of the magazine. So you might start to look at this point next year and say, okay, well in January they're doing, you know, X, Y, or Z. Does that really relate to me? If it's an issue on closet organizing, do you have something that could be bedroom oriented or closet clothing, you know, accessories, things like that? It doesn't mean that that's all they're doing. That's just the main, you know, the main thrust of the magazine, and that's what they're going after for advertisers. So you'd see advertisers like, you know, e.l.f. closet organizing and different products like that would want to advertise in those issues that have stories relating to those things. But there's also all the normal columns and things that people are going to still write. So the calendar gives the secrets away, and then you can just fill in from there, you know, depending on what your product is. So how do you create successful relationships with editors? Well, you want to be really sure that you've checked out the calendar, because if you have something that directly relates to something in that calendar, it makes it much easier to pitch them. So you want to get familiar with the editor's column. You know, if you like someone's column and think, God, my product would be great for that, you want to, I would suggest reading like at least 3, 4, 5 issues of the magazine, because you really want to get familiar with the kinds of things they write about, their writing style. Like, you know, investigate the brands that that are in that column that you wish you were in, and really get to see what it is about the brand. Do they have a specific, like some special story about them? You might find that the editor is attracted to certain kind of people. So you want to just see kind of where you fit in and make sure that you fit in to the place that you want to pitch. So, and obviously pitching on target. If this is somebody who only writes about cleaning products, you're not going to pitch your jewelry line to them. So, I know you're smart enough to figure that out, but I just wanted to throw that in. So the other thing too is to only send samples when requested. Am I doing okay on the loudspeaker? So, editors don't really like unsolicited gifts in a sense, because it may be something that is just going to go, their offices are like the size of this round table, and they don't have anywhere to put it. So unless it's something that they've requested from you that's, relevant to a story that they're doing, they're not going to appreciate it in the same way. It's kind of going to become like, the third leg and have to be dealt with, stuffed in the corner, put on a shelf for the next time that they need something like that, or given away. So in order to save yourself some money, I would just suggest sending things when they're requested. So how do you build a rockstar media list? And what I mean by that is one that's really relevant to you and your brand. So a beauty list isn't going to do anything for someone who's got jewelry unless the editor goes both ways. So a lot of editors these days might have jobs where they have to cover more than one beat. So you really want to target the relevant media outlets for yourself, and you want to take a look at these magazines. And I would suggest subscribing to like your top 10, and really, like I was saying, get to know the columns, read the magazines, really get a feel for where you belong. You might think, oh, it's so cool, I'd love to be in Lucky, but then you're reading Lucky magazine because someone said it's got all the best shopping in it. Well, it depends how old you are. It might not be relevant for your product. Redbook has a way bigger subscription circle than Lucky does. I've been in Redbook before, and I was like, kind of poo-pooed it and thought that's kind of lame. But I sold over 900 of my Handy Hold All, my closet organizer, from one little hit. I mean, a teeny little thing like the size of this in Redbook. And who knew? I didn't really I put nothing into it. I wasn't even impressed when they, it's like, oh. And you just never know where the hit's going to come from. So you also only want to share news, new products, new news, something interesting about your company. Maybe it's charity related, or, you endorse something, or you have a cream that, I don't know, does something spectacular. And so you want to really make sure that you are really familiar with the person that you're pitching to. And it's not just, you don't have to know who they are personally, but it's really knowing and watching what it is that they do over a course of time. I know, you might go home tonight and be like, okay, I want to be in Lucky. I'm going to go read the editor's name, and I'm going to find it, and I'm going to send her a package on Monday. But I want you to look back at that and really think about who that person is and whether the people who read that magazine are your target market. So that's another big thing you have to remember too. Just because you might not be your own target market. You might like Lucky or InStyle or reading People magazine, but maybe your target market reads Redbook and Oprah and Family Circle and Parenting magazine. So you have to really know your target market and see what's going to get them. What magazine are they going to open that's going to get them to see your product. So.